time during 80th Independence Day celebration. Karnataka Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar is facing another round of political negotiations following last week's cabinet expansion. The immediate task is to allocate portfolio to the newly inducted 19 ministers. Deputy Chief Minister G. Parameshwara says there is no confusion and the process will be completed soon. Shivakumar has been in Delhi meeting the Congress High Command over the allocation. But there is more than just portfolio distribution on the table. Sources say that the Congress leadership has also discussed a possible minor cabinet reshuffle. The move could make room for senior leaders who were left out of the recent expansion. Among those being discussed are Vijayanagar MLA M Krishnappa and Basavaraj Shivannanavar. Sources also say that the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has approved the induction of a woman legislator amid pressure over absence of any woman in the current cabinet. There is also speculation that 2 newly inducted ministers could be dropped to accommodate the new entrants. However, there is no official confirmation of these changes yet. The pressure is mounting because the Karnataka legislature's monsoon session begins on August 13th.
It is very difficult to pacify or satisfy everybody's demands. We have come close to 140 strength. We are around 140 MLAs and only hardly 33 of them can become. So it's very difficult to give proper regional representation, balance social representation. But whatever it is, the High Command has very earnestly and honestly tried to balance that out. And quite naturally, there will be some disappointment. And the Chief Minister himself is talking to the MLAs. The Chief Minister himself is pacifying. He's deputed people like us to talk to our colleagues. So whatever High Command decides is final.
So will Shivakumar simply complete the portfolio allocation, or are we looking at another cabinet reshuffle before assembly session begins? On this issue, I'll be joined by Dr. Basavaraj Shivannanavar, senior journalist, Vijay Grover. He joins me from Bangalore, political analyst and someone who understands the Congress party very well, and Professor Chambi Puranik, political analyst. Thank you, Vijay. And thank you, Professor Chambi Puranik. Let me straight away go to Vijay. You know, it has become like an elastic. Last time we were talking, we said, well, you know, this is like a headache. Now, this is more like a headache. This is a migraine. Now, for the first time, the people will be dropped and new people will be inducted. I do not remember when was the last time this sort of a cabinet reshuffle has taken place in any Congress state government, where now you have to drop people to accommodate new people.
Karthikeya, that's the most ironic part of this entire thing that we are discussing at the moment. As to somebody who was sworn in just 9 days back, being asked to step down to make way for somebody else. I mean, how does it even make sense? I mean, the first question that comes to mind is the fact that was there merit that was taken into account, or was it just to keep people happy on the basis of their caste or region or something that the 19 people were sworn in? And who would be dropped? That is the first question. I mean, you are saying that so-and-so is less meritorious than somebody else who might be brought in, or what could be the criteria for first the dropping? Let's talk about the droppings first. And you know, you just played out the bite of Priyank Kharge. Priyank Kharge is certainly saying that he's been deputed by the High Command to convince people. Now, the fact is that if you look at Priyank Kharge's experience itself, he's much junior than an H.K. Patil or a R.V. Deshpande or a Dinesh Kundu Rao or T.B. Jayachandra, who's a 7-time MLA. So who's like, you know, I mean, it sounds very ironic that a person who's has lesser political experience is being given the task of convincing the seniors. That is something which is very, very, you know, I mean, I couldn't digest this entire fact. And that is where we stand today. Who could be brought in? Yes, we know the names of people who are still unhappy and where they could be accommodated. Let's not even talk about the woman that, you know, it's something which is being raised as a question by the women folk of the state, not just the political thing, as to what is the perception. I mean, Rahul Gandhi talks about, you know, women empowerment. We are going to see a bill where women empowerment or, you know, Nari Saman bill was approved, supported by the Congress. And here you cannot make one woman minister. I mean, these are questions, you know, it's a very dichotomic situation where
It's like common, Vijay, it's like common sense. The organizations do that. Corporate companies do that in terms of representation. People might say, she's just being woke. But the fact of the matter is, gender sensitivity is not being woke. It should have just come automatically. Professor Puranik, is DK in control? I mean to say, which chief minister has to undergo all of this? People, when DK was the deputy chief minister, there was a great hype about him, the organizational man. It busts that myth.
D.K. Shivakumar, no doubt he is a very strong and capable leader. He knows how to face the rough weather or storms in political life. But in this particular case, I think in the first expansion he was okay, because High Command also gave names of people who were acceptable and all that. In the second expansion, there must have been some other calculations, the calculations in terms of who is going to help the party in the coming GBDA election and also 2028 election. If not 2029 is too far. So that's one aspect. Second thing is, there are small districts which have been given 2 cabinet portfolios each, Koppal and Davangere. That is a second one. The third one is, as Mr. Govan mentioned, about the representation of women. You speak of 33% reservation, and in the parliament you are advocating for this kind of whatever delay there in the delimitation debate and all that. So that means to say that D.K. Shivakumar is not in control as far as the expansion of the cabinet and the allocation of portfolios. But unfortunately, as all of us know, that it is the prerogative of the chief minister. When Virendra Patil and other chief ministers were there, they were in a position to convince the High Command. Today, the High Command is not one person. Then it was Rajiv Gandhi in case of Virendra Patil. He told him that it's the prerogative of the chief minister and I have to run the show and control the administration. So leave it to me, and that kind of agreement was there. Today, the High Command there itself is based on certain other calculations which are based on the support for the coming elections and who could bring more kind of cash support or organization support, the kind of manipulative skills and all that. So that means to say the Karnataka kind of whatever experiment that is there under D.K. Shivakumar, no doubt he will continue as chief minister for 2 years, but will he be able to carry the same mandate, about 130 or 134 people? I doubt very much. One. Number two, even if you give a representation for a woman, the kind of insult that was inflicted on that lady, that Gayatri, that itself shows there is an insult for the woman, and the entire woman folk of Karnataka will be definitely thinking that this is the kind of double standard that the Congress party has got. So therefore, there are many issues which Shivakumar has to do it, but the remote control in High Command, though it is there. And the fourth one is Mr. Siddaramaiah. Mr. Siddaramaiah refused to attend the cabinet swearing ceremony. Oh, and second thing is, he has also not been,
Are you saying Siddaramaiah is still sulking?
Yeah, he is in circuit. Certainly, the very fact you mentioned about Basavaraj from Badgi, that itself shows that Siddaramaiah is very bent upon. And very fact, Siddaramaiah was, hard enough, he made Gayatri not to take a swearing ceremony. So that means to say, these are all very ugly and very embarrassing kind of setbacks for the Congress for the time being. And the opposition is going to take advantage. You have given them 2 kind of
You know what this has done? I'll come to that. Mr. Itnal, what it has done, it has reversed the case. People would say that Siddaramaiah is there because he represents a powerful caste group, but ultimately DK is the organizational man. Now what has happened is that it has completely reversed that thing. If DK would have been a pure play organizational man, he would have been able to manage all this. It means that the hold which we thought the DK had of the organization was great. It's not that great.
After D.K. Shivakumar took, oath as chief minister, the dynamics in the Congress party of Karnataka has changed. In the face of Mr. B.K. Prasad being made the KPCC president, B.K. Prasad has a different approach towards the organization, and Siddaramaiah, he had this eye in the vote base. And that is exactly the problem. You're asking other panelists why why D.K. Shivakumar is facing all these conflicting, problems. The point is, though on the paper, Chief Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers, it has to be his prerogative to select his team. But what has happened is that all 3 B.K. Prasad, D.K. Shivakumar, and Siddaramaiah. They went to High Command with three different list proposals, of their own followers to be inducted into cabinet. Now, High Command also has its own idea about who should be in the cabinet. Party High Command's, thrust is towards bringing in more young faces, more newcomers, so that the party is energized, so as to face 2028 elections. But here, Siddaramaiah faction speaks in a different language. They say, if you don't respect the seniority, how will the party benefit? So what has happened in the meantime, in an attempt to balance all these three, not only just three lists, three conflicting lists, the High Command has ended up pleasing nobody. So what has happened is that now Mr. Dinesh Gundurao, he is sulking. Mr. Krishnappa, he's a very big leader in Bangalore region. So he is sulking, and H.K. Patil, and Gopal Krishna, so many of them. And come to think of it, this Vaidya, Mankala Vaidya's name was there in the list, and it is said that Mr. D.K. Shivakumar called him that he should come and take oath, and next in 1 hour he calls back saying that your name is dropped. And imagine the kind of insult this means to a particular MLA or anybody who has been announced as a cabinet minister and then dropped. Now, what has happened in the aftermath? All this dissent, all this dissenting and disgruntlement needs to be pacified. For that reason only, even though cabinet is in place, portfolio allocation has not happened. Because there is a thinking that D.K. Shivakumar eventually will ask 3-4 of the current cabinet members to resign so as to accommodate the big leaders like the Dinesh Gundurao or Krishnappa or H.K. Patil or Jayachandra for that matter. So now what happens now? Again, it is rubbing salt over injury. At least 3 ministers will have to resign now if you have to balance the conflict interest. There is also regional imbalance. And look at the way they treated this lady, Gayatri Shantagowda's name. It is announced, then they call and tell her, don't take oath of office. See, the official reason was that she was not sworn in as MLC, so it is not a great idea to take oath. But according to Constitution, anybody can be sworn in as minister and be elected to either of those in 6 months. So such being the case, these are all excuses. These are real excuses, and D.K. Shivakumar knows by now. He is not. He has enough common sense to understand that it is not going to be an easy sale internally.
Okay.
He will continue to have these internal, rumblings, rest of his tenure. But at the same time, he will have to run the government also. There are also various controversies facing government.
Okay.
And
Is it Vijay? I'll come to you. I'll come to you.
D.K. Shivkumar's choice came into heavy criticism because of Nagendra's induction, who had resigned facing corruption charges, and there was not even corruption. It was straight away siphoning of the government money to private accounts.
I have a question. Vijay, people, when they get a mandate like that, they try to either create a party in their image or they try to create a rung of second leaders. Whether it works, like for BJP, Samrat Chaudhary didn't work, he flopped. Nitin Nabeen is not working, it flopped. But people do that. In Gujarat, BJP did it. In Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, whether you agree with it or you disagree with it. But parties do that. In Karnataka, that revitalization within the organization has not done. The powerful people, there's a jostling for what it is there. Is it because you feel that it's a divided house, slightly stronger than BJP, but still a divided house? So the BJP is is a failure as an opposition party, but Congress too is a divided house, or there are too many factions: Delhi faction, JS faction, Siddha faction, PCC head faction, CM faction, former PCC chief faction. I think this state is almost like Madhya Pradesh. People used to say, na, Madhya Pradesh mein neta zyada hai, Congress ke worker kam hai. Arjun Singh, Motilal Vora, Vidyacharan Shukla's elder brother. Then you had Rahul Singh. Then you had Mr. Netam. Then you had Subhash Yadav. I can just go on and go. I don't want to bore my viewers from the south. Is that also the case in Karnataka? Too many leaders to be accommodated. Everywhere, you have one heavyweight leader.
See, unfortunately, this has come to a stage where we are, having this kind of discussion in the open. And that's a very unfortunate. We used to have D.K. Shivakumar unhappy when Siddaramaiah was the Chief Minister, but that could be sorted out with one visit of Randeep Surjewala, because there was always some kind of, control that was there, which was visible. Unfortunately, in the last 45 days, what we're seeing is actually mayhem. Everybody wants either a son to be accommodated. Davangere, you have somebody who says, my wife, my son, myself, we all should be accommodated. This kind of thing never happened in the past. And when the High Command is unable to control, that is the most unfortunate thing. I mean, today I feel, D.K. Shivakumar is a troubleshooter, is a firefighter. We've seen him, handle crisis in other states. Today, in his own state, with his own chief ministership, he finds himself helpless because we have not seen anybody from the center or anybody from the High Command come forward and step in and, try to rein in the kind of voices that are coming. So who's supporting them is the big question that needs to be asked. So factionalism, yes, it did exist in the past, but today it is out in the open and it's a very unfortunate thing. I'm not talking from the Congress future, I'm talking from the state's future. And this is something which is very unfortunate for a state which is number 3 as far as GDP is concerned. And, when you have this kind of political instability, even the investments dry up. And that's a very, very dangerous thing for all of us, and that concerns me more than what one MLA would fight with another or, the third one, because that's their own individual fights. But when you represent the state as a minister, you cannot have this kind of jostling, fighting, and, this kind of, we are seeing nitpicking. And that's a very unfortunate thing for me, Karthikeya.
Okay, nitpicking. But I think it's a little more than nitpicking. Mr. Puranik, I do not recall portfolios have not been distributed and you are making people resign. I think this happened in 2004 when UPA came to power, when DMK insisted that they want the portfolio. The former Chief Minister of Telangana, 2-time Chief Minister, KCR, Chandrasekhar Rao, he became minister without portfolio. उसके बाद मुझे याद नहीं ऐसा कभी हुआ था कि because of such a tussle this happened. 2009 the tussle happened, but it was behind the scenes, it was reported. But this was an open tussle, his portfolio was taken from him. And yes, Congress came back to power in 2009, but then DMK was able to set the agenda. And then the 2G happened, It really sent a wrong signal to the bureaucracy. That their ministry, their portfolio, their writ will run. Is it going to have an impact on the governance, sir?
Definitely. Governance is going to be affected very severely because
writ of the Chief Minister should run. He has decided, there are a lot of people, but ultimately the projection is of DK. He is the boss.
No, but DK will be given chance or opportunity to select only 4 or 5 portfolios. The rest will be distributed by High Command and also Siddaramaiah's group. So there is a kind of bargaining, and that bargaining is a very negative one. And people of Karnataka, as Grover said, they are going to be disappointed because the Congress is trying to win the next election. That will be a very tough challenge. And D.K. Shivakumar, in spite of all his organizational ability, financial resources and all that, he will be definitely having a setback in this also. So that means to say it's a shameful thing that Karnataka is facing such a situation where the mandate is so strong, But Shivakumar also should not have made that comment. When somebody said the people are going to resign because they are not given ministerial posts, he said within 2 minutes it will be accepted. That also shows that Shivakumar is trying to bully the kind of, whatever the opposition that is there in the party. So he must learn how to maintain a kind of inner balance, not only the caste balance, but also the kind of style, his functioning style has to be improved because now he is a chief minister. He is not merely a Congress president or a person leading the Congress for elections, etc. So therefore, I would say that D.K. Shivakumar has got a lot of insights and also experience and all that. This problem is, for example, you take Krishnappa of Bangalore. He is a strong supporter of Congress. And he says, not less than ministerial post I will accept. He is not prepared to accept any board. Now, how dare anybody can ask me to accept chairmanship of a board or Nigama. This is the kind of the challenge that is there. So therefore, Shivakumar has to manage and convince the High Command that please allow me little freedom in order to operate and run the system and all that. So everything under remote control and High Command interfering at every stage of even allocation of portfolios and administration and all that, that gives suspicion for the people of Karnataka. People of Karnataka have opted for this government by saying that BJP was 40% corrupt government. But today, Karthikeyan, I must tell you that no office is free from corruption. You go to any office, there is corruption. I know Shivakumar has promised, but it's only promise. But it's a very ugly kind of reality that the people of Karnataka are facing. You name any department, I can tell you that people are unhappy, and Congress also is tolerating corruption. And D.K. Shivakumar himself should promise that he will erase corruption because he is a rich man.
I think, I don't discount corruption. That's your point of view. For me, more than corruption, new chief minister requires is that his writ should run.
Yeah.
That part is of the investigation. His writ should run. The message that, I agree with Vijay is, the messaging is going wrong, that DK is not in charge. Mr. Etnal, the message that is going out is that DK is not in charge. I think that is what is damaging the Congress party. And then there is this deafening silence of Siddaramaiah.
No, the Siddaramaiah appears to be silent. You're right when you say that, there is a wrong messaging, saying that D.K. Shivakumar is not really in charge. And why that has happened? It has happened because somewhere within the party...
And now I have this silent appreciation for Siddaramaiah. लोग कहते थे पुराना बूढ़ा आदमी क्या politics करेगा यार, वो तो ज़्यादा बढ़िया politics किया. कम बोल के सब कुछ चुप बैठे थे यार. वो बूढ़ा आदमी ज़्यादा बढ़िया था.
Literally, Karthikeyan, if you look at the cabinet today, it is nothing but Siddaramaiah's cabinet with D.K. Shivakumar as the chief minister. Ideally, what should happen, Karthikeyan, what should happen when there's a change of guard, when there's a midterm change of guard within the party, then the chief minister should be given a free hand to constitute a new cabinet. What has happened is that in the guise of seniority, Siddaramaiah faction has re-inducted the earlier ministers. The cabinet today is full of earlier ministers. So it is not a new cabinet at all. So what has happened now is there are various arguments. Seniority must be respected, new faces should be there, and he's a strong leader, regional representation. All these are arguments. Eventually what has happened, one thing, why High Command is tolerating all this is because Siddaramaiah, he facilitated the transfer of power without causing a spectacle, without causing any embarrassment to the party. So they have to listen to him. Now what has happened? D.K. Shivakumar, he wanted to become chief minister. Yes, we made you chief minister. You are in the driving seat, but we'll drive the car from the back seat. At times, Siddaramaiah drives the car from the back seat. At times, High Command will drive the car from the back seat. At times, B.K. Prasad will drive the car from the back
it's such an irony, Mr. Etnal, something which I thought was the smoothest experiment. I thought unlike Madhya Pradesh, unlike Chhattisgarh, unlike Rajasthan, this has turned out to be a comedy of errors, Vijay. मुझे लगता था ये तो बड़ा successful हो गया, boss.
This is going to cause chaos in the administration.
See, if you look at the people who are dissenting, are people who have their fiefdoms in control. Be it Davangere, be it Krishnappa, be it T.B. Jayachandra. These are people who are 6-time, 7-time MLAs. And the Congress always had a starting point of 20-25 seats in its kitty even before the first vote was cast. That is the kind of hold that these people had. And that is where, that the hold is, sitting now. And one of the most painful things which has come out in the open this time is Vijayendra's statement the other day, who said, only when the rate was fixed, the date was fixed. That is something which raises a lot of questions. Yes. And we see it coming true now that, till now you're not able to discuss in a portfolio. And, maybe what Vijayendra said was inside information that he had, or was he prophetic? We don't know. But, the more it is delayed, it is more unfortunate.
Absolutely.
That we are having this.
Absolutely. But Professor Abhipurani, 15 seconds, sir. There is...
my point is, even the original congressmen who are there for last 40-50 years, including D.B. Jayachandra and all that. You see, 5 people who have migrated, switched over from JDS to Congress, they have been given cabinet portfolios. Now, this is the kind of
ये तो eternal problem है. Look at Bharatiya Janata Party. All senior Congress leaders are now having a good time there. So the Congress is also doing the same. But I think this is not the right thing. It's not a good omen. I think I can't even say as a journalist DK should crack the whip. Maybe he doesn't really have the whip. People thought he had the whip, but probably he doesn't have the whip. But it's not a good omen for the Congress, because if despite a weak opposition you can't set your house in order, then boss, there is real problem. Which is part of your own house. Thank you all of you for joining me in this conversation. But to my viewers, in On Point 2, we will examine the sudden altitude loss on the Air India flight from Phuket to Delhi that left 17 people injured. We speak to Captain Sam Thomas, President of the Airline Pilot Association of India, who gives a completely different picture of what has happened.
Pushpalata, we need to get the house waterproofed.
But waterproofing is more expensive now. So your new phone, it's cancelled.
Guys, be naya zamana. Birla Opus is giving 10% free paint. So now waterproof your home worry free.
10% free waterproofing only with Birla Opus.